I need to tell you something, and I need you to really hear me, not scroll past it, not nod along while thinking about the next thing you need to do. I need you to hear me because the thing you're chasing, the money, the title, the body, the house, the respect, the approval, whatever it is you believe will finally make your life feel complete, it is not going to give you what you think it will. My name is Helen. I am 80 years old, and I spent most of my life running after things that promised happiness and delivered exhaustion instead. Decades, whole decades. So sit with me for a few minutes, because what took me a lifetime to understand, I want to place gently into your hands right now, while you still have time to use it. I used to say the same sentence over and over again, just dressed up in different clothes. I'll be happy when the kids are grown. I'll be happy when we're financially stable. I'll be happy when people finally respect me. I'll rest when things slow down. I said that in my 30s. I said it again in my 40s. I whispered it through clenched teeth in my 50s. And by the time I reached my 60s, I realized something terrifying. Things never slowed down. They just changed costumes. When one problem left, another one took its place. When one goal was reached, a new one appeared, taller, heavier, more demanding. There was always something else. I grew up in a time when women were taught to earn their worth quietly, be useful, be needed, be agreeable, be strong, but not loud, capable, but not proud. I learned early that love felt conditional. That praise came when you sacrificed. That rest had to be justified. So I became very good at carrying weight. I carried responsibility. I carried expectations. I carried everyone else's comfort on my back and told myself that was love. And I was so busy being strong, I never asked myself if I was being alive. I married young, not because I was sure, but because it was time, because everyone said it was time. We built a life that looked good from the outside, a respectable life, a busy life. I raised children. I kept a home. I stretched money. I swallowed disappointment. And I told myself, this is what fulfillment looks like. But there were nights, quiet nights, where I'd sit at the kitchen table long after everyone was asleep, staring at nothing, feeling something I didn't have a name for yet. It wasn't sadness. It wasn't anger. It was emptiness. Not dramatic emptiness, not the kind that screams, the quiet kind, the kind that whispers, "Is this all?" I thought the feeling meant I needed to do more, be better, give more, achieve more. So I tried. I became efficient, reliable, indispensable. And do you know what happens when you become indispensable? People take you for granted. You stop being seen as a person and start being seen as a function. And I didn't fight it because I thought usefulness was the same thing as worth. It isn't. I learned that far too late. Let me tell you something I wish someone had told me when I was young. You can do everything right and still feel empty. Because emptiness doesn't come from failure. It comes from living a life that isn't aligned with who you truly are. I watched years disappear while I waited for permission to rest, permission to choose myself, permission to want something different, and the permission never came because it doesn't come from outside of you. It never has. I used to believe love was something you earned by being needed. So I made myself useful to everyone. I said yes when I wanted to say no. I smiled when I wanted to scream. I gave when I was empty. And I told myself that's what good women do. But here's the truth, and it's not a gentle one. If you train people that you exist to serve them, they will never ask who you are. They will only ask what you can give. By the time I realized that, my children were grown. My marriage was tired, and I didn't know who I was without responsibility. That is a frightening place to be, not knowing who you are when the noise stops. I see so many of you doing the same thing now, running, chasing, postponing joy. You tell yourself, I'll travel later. I'll slow down later. I'll take care of myself later. I'll be happy later. Later is not guaranteed. I am 80 years old, and I can tell you with absolute certainty, later is a dangerous promise. I have buried friends who were waiting for later. I have watched strong women work themselves into illness, thinking rest was weakness. I have seen marriages dissolve not from cruelty, but from neglect. Not dramatic neglect, quiet neglect. The kind where you're always tired, always distracted, always saying, after this. There is always another this. I wish I could sit across from my younger self and say, you are not behind. You are not failing. You do not need to prove your worth by exhaustion. But she wouldn't have listened, because when you're young, you think endurance is the same thing as meaning. It isn't. Meaning comes from presence, and presence is the first thing we sacrifice when we're chasing approval. I spent years trying to be respected. Do you know what I learned? Respect from the world is unstable. It shifts, it disappears, it asks for more every time you give it something. The people who applauded me at my busiest barely noticed when I burned out. The world does not stop when you fall apart. That realization hurts, but it also frees you. Because once you understand that the world will keep spinning no matter what you sacrifice, you stop sacrificing the wrong things. I am 80 now. I move slower. I speak softer, and I no longer confuse urgency with importance. The things I thought mattered most didn't last. The things I thought I could postpone were the things I lost. If you are listening to me right now, please hear this part clearly. You do not need to earn the right to enjoy your life. You don't need to finish everything first. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need approval. You are allowed to rest before you break. You are allowed to choose joy before permission. You are allowed to stop chasing things that don't love you back. In part 2, I will tell you what I wish I had chosen, instead the mistakes that hurt the most now, and the one decision that changed how I lived these last years of my life. For now, sit with this. If this spoke to something inside you, not your mind, but your chest, share it with someone who is tired of chasing, and ask yourself quietly, what am I waiting for that may never come?